Traffic crawls through a clean city grid as a diplomatic motorcade advances block by block, security tight, and communications clipped to bare essentials. The Wakandan ambassador, Dr. Udaku, is confirmed in the convoy, civilians cleared back as vehicles subtly shift positions, and the signal is quietly given to proceed. Then, intention breaks the rhythm. Someone wants to be noticed. The Secret Service reacts a fraction too late as a uniformed officer turns, sensing something off in the blur of motion. Calm drains from the street in an instant, replaced by the understanding that this intersection was never meant to be cleared safely. The ambush unfolds with brutal inevitability as the motorcade is torn apart, armored vehicles flipping and crashing into one another while civilians scatter in blind panic. Aim floods the street with cold precision, their leader savoring the chaos as he calls out to Dr. Udaku, framing the attack as punishment for betrayal and a warning to anyone who dares defy them. Inside the wrecked vehicle, Udaku remains trapped and bloodied but conscious, forced to face the reality that there is no escape and no negotiation left. As weapons prime and flames spread, the moment stops being about secrecy or extraction and becomes a public declaration of power, loud, deliberate, and merciless, meant to be seen and remembered. Scarlet Witch descends into the chaos like a verdict, scarlet energy flaring around her hands as reality itself bends to her will. Smoke still curls from the street below, but she doesn't rush, she commands, hovering above the wreckage with absolute control as glowing hexes lock onto her target. There's no plea, no warning shot, just a single word carried with power and certainty, a demand that makes it clear the fight is already over if they're smart enough to listen. Scarlet Witch doesn't wait for an answer. Her hands snap into focus, and scarlet energy surges forward, clean and precise, ripping through the street and tearing into the machines hunting her down. The robots barely have time to register what's happening before their systems unravel, limbs locking, circuits screaming, and weapons turning useless in their hands. One of them recognizes her too late, spitting out her name like an accusation, but Wanda's already past that, hovering in control as the chaos bends to her will and the threat collapses around her. Scarlet Witch plants herself atop the wreckage and turns the battlefield into a stage, scarlet energy lancing across the lawn as she silences the machine mid-rant and shreds its momentum in one decisive motion. The rumors it spits back at her barely register. Wanda advances instead, calm and cutting, weaving hexes that tear through reinforcements as they rush in too late. Each step forward tightens her control, warping metal, bending force, and ending the fight on her terms as the last threats falter under the weight of her will. MODOK barely finishes mocking them before the response hits all at once, as Captain Marvel drives a brutal punch straight into his hovering frame, while Spider-Woman swoops in alongside her, turning his calculated threat into a tumbling wreck. The sky fills with smoke, sparks, and ricocheting fire as his machines open up in panic, but the momentum has already shifted. Amid the chaos, Scarlet Witch presses forward with cold focus, red energy cutting through the noise as MODOK's control fractures and the fight collapses into pure damage control. The attack ends in a sudden, decisive turn as AIM's leader is cut down mid-threat, his message dying with him. Spider-Woman stands over the fallen body, calm and unmoved, a clear signal that the fight was never going to last as long as AIM intended. Smoke and debris roll through the street as Captain Marvel and Scarlet Witch stand victorious, surveying the wreckage and scattered agents left in their wake. What began as a calculated act of terror collapses into silence, the city spared at the last moment, and the remains of the ambush serving as a reminder of how close the day came to ending very differently. The tension drops, but the moment stays fragile as Captain Marvel and Spider-Woman gently reintroduce themselves to Scarlet Witch, careful not to push too hard. Wanda admits she thought she could handle things alone and recognizes she's not fully ready yet, even if she wants to be. When Carol suggests coming back to the mansion and letting everyone see she's okay, Wanda hesitates, choosing distance over comfort, slipping away with a quiet promise instead of a reunion. Still healing, still unsure, but not gone. At Avengers Mansion, the walk feels heavier than it should, as Captain Marvel continues reassuring Scarlet Witch that she's still family, that once an Avenger, always an Avenger, even when it doesn't feel that way. Spider-Woman stays close, letting the words hang as Wanda hesitates at the door, hearing how worried everyone has been and questioning whether she truly belongs there anymore. Before she can retreat, Vision phases silently through the door, meeting her gaze without a word, his presence making it clear this moment isn't just about returning home, but about confronting everything she left unresolved. Outside Avengers Mansion, the moment hangs heavy before anyone moves, as Vision steps forward to confront Scarlet Witch before the doors are ever opened. There is no embrace or relief, only measured distance, as Captain Marvel and Spider-Woman stand nearby and listen without interrupting. Vision speaks with calm precision, acknowledging the hardships Wanda has endured and the years of manipulation that shaped her choices, but making it clear that empathy does not erase accountability. With the Avengers gathered behind him, he explains that out of all the paths in front of her, she chose to overpower him and turn his body into a weapon against his friends and his home. The confrontation ends not in anger, but in quiet finality, as Vision draws an unmovable line and admits that this is something he cannot forgive. Scarlet Witch accepts the silence without argument, her confidence gone, her posture closed in on itself. She looks at each face in turn and sees only distance, the weight of everything she's done reflected back at her without anger, just disappointment. There's no defense left to offer, only honesty. And when she finally speaks, the apology is quiet and sincere, spoken as much to herself as to the people she once called family, before she stands alone with the consequences of her choices. Vision makes the call himself, calm but final, telling her she doesn't belong here anymore, not after everything that's happened. Scarlet Witch already knows, and that's what hurts the most, as she's quietly escorted out without a fight, without anger, just acceptance. The door closes behind her, and the room goes still, leaving the Avengers to wrestle with the cost of doing the right thing, while Vision stands alone in the aftermath, holding back emotion. Tony speaks out to no one in particular, admitting that he always believed they were meant to stand together. On Utopia, the X-Men's island refuge, Hope Summers stands alone under the night sky, staring out at a world that keeps pulling her back into the fight, knowing whatever is happening can't be allowed to spiral any further. She steels herself, talking it through out loud like a promise, when Cyclops steps in behind her, just as direct and just as tired, agreeing that whatever this crisis is, it has to end now. The moment is quiet, but heavy. Two soldiers sharing the same conclusion before the next move is made. Under the stars on Utopia, Hope Summers finally gets called out, her quiet nighttime escapes laid bare as more than just clearing her head, and the weight of what she's been doing hits harder than she expected. Cyclops doesn't raise his voice, but his disappointment lands anyway, reminding her that protecting the world doesn't mean throwing herself into danger alone, especially when everyone here is watching her closely. Hope pushes back, refusing to be treated like something fragile, but the tension lingers as they part, both knowing this isn't just about rules, it's about responsibility, and how much she matters to all of them. Cyclops finally says what everyone's been thinking, reminding Hope Summers that she isn't just another mutant. She's the one who pulled their species back from extinction, the one they cannot afford to lose. Hope snaps back, raw and exhausted, demanding to know why she's different, why her whole life has been nothing but running and survival, only to be told she's special without ever being told why. When Cyclops gives her no easy answers, she pushes harder, naming the truth she's been circling all along, the Phoenix, and forces him to confront it, not as a myth or a warning, but as something coming for her whether anyone is ready or not. Hope turns away from Cyclops, done waiting for permission or half answers, and makes it clear that if the truth won't be given to her, she'll take it herself. Scott tries to stop her, warning her not to go down this path, but Hope shuts him down just as hard, refusing to be controlled or protected anymore. When he reaches out, desperate to keep her safe, she snaps back with a cold certainty, eyes glowing with something dangerous and inevitable, reminding him that this is her life, her destiny, and no one, not even him, gets to stand in her way as Hope Summers steps closer to whatever's coming. Hope doesn't hesitate. The moment Cyclops reaches for her, she explodes forward, raw power flaring as she blasts him off his feet and sends him skidding across the ground. The impact leaves him stunned, watching as she rockets into the sky without looking back, her decision echoing louder than the shockwave she leaves behind. Alone in the dust, Scott can only stare after her and mutter the truth to himself as Hope Summers disappears into the night, already beyond his reach. Hope keeps moving, cutting through the night as her thoughts spill out like a confession she's never said out loud. She doesn't regret blasting Cyclops aside because to her, it felt like taking control for the first time in years. A reminder that she's done being told to wait, to trust, to sit still while everyone else decides her fate. 15 years on the run taught Hope Summers how to survive, but not who she's supposed to be. And she's tired of being called special without being given answers. As she rockets over the city, she admits she doesn't fully know herself yet, only that standing still isn't an option. Whatever the truth is, she's going to find it on her own terms, even if that means dropping straight into the middle of danger to figure it out. Hope slips inside without hesitation, moving on instinct, shaped by a future that never stopped trying to kill her. She was raised by Cable, trained to read rooms, spot threats, and trust her gut even when it lands her in trouble. That instinct pays off fast when she comes face to face with Bushmaster, a predator hiding in plain sight, all muscle and menace, judging her before she even speaks. Hope Summers doesn't flinch. She clocks the danger immediately, not because of how he looks, but because everything about him feels wrong. This isn't fear talking, it's experience. And experience tells her she just walked into a fight she was never going to avoid. A dull thump rolls through the vault, just sharp enough to cut the noise, and Asp feels it immediately. The crew hesitates, tension tightening as suspicion creeps in, but the operation doesn't stop. Cottonmouth holds the door while Puff Adler's acid hisses against the metal, weakening it inch by inch, and Bushmaster is waved back to cover anything approaching from behind. Anaconda keeps her boot pressed to a hostage, calm but impatient, certain they're still on schedule. Whatever caused the sound isn't enough to derail them yet, but the rhythm of the room has shifted, subtle and dangerous, like something has just taken its place and is waiting to strike. The vault explodes into chaos as Hope Summers crashes through the wall, blade out and voice steady, catching everyone flat-footed. Anaconda snaps first, barking threats, while Cottonmouth grins like this is just another warm-up, and Puff Adler turns too late to matter. The crew underestimates her for exactly 1 second, and that's enough. Hope slips past their formation, mocks their confidence, and proves she's not here to run as Anaconda lunges, only to find herself tangled and outplayed. What started as a robbery is now a fight they didn't plan for, and Hope is already dictating how it ends. Locked chest to chest, Hope Summers ignores the threat and turns the fight brutally simple. Anaconda tries to intimidate her up close, talking about the Serpent Society and making it personal, but Hope answers with bone and momentum. She drives her forehead forward again and again, each headbutt sharper than the last, until Anaconda's confidence cracks, blood spills, and the lesson lands hard. No tricks, no powers, just raw resolve. Hope isn't backing down, and she's proving she doesn't need permission to survive. Without slowing down, Hope Summers drops Anaconda and moves on, sweat in her eyes and zero hesitation on her face. Puff Adder steps up confident, joking, assuming he's built for this fight, until Hope recognizes the power he's using and mirrors it back at him. The realization hits him too late. She closes the distance, drives her weight through the punch, and slams him flat with a single brutal blow. No speech, no celebration, just results. Hope looks down once, already thinking ahead, and makes it clear she's not here to play fair. She's here to end it and move to the next threat. The room detonates in red light as Cyclops and Emma Frost crash through the wreckage, Cyclops shouting Hope's name as he takes in the aftermath. Hope Summers is still mid-fight, fury driving her forward, until Cyclops catches her wrist and stops the next blow cold. The rage drains just enough for her to register him, to hear Emma back him up, and to finally let go. When it's over, the Serpent Society is scattered across the floor, beaten and bleeding, and Hope stands in the center of it all, breathing hard. The fight won, but the tension between her and Scott still very much alive. The fight ends as sirens close in, and the weight of what just happened finally settles over the room. Cyclops moves to reassert control, already calculating damage, consequences, and how to contain what comes next. But Hope Summers doesn't yield. Bloodied and unbowed, she makes it clear she understands exactly what he fears and refuses to let her life be defined by Jean's shadow or the X-Men's anxiety over the Phoenix. She isn't fleeing, and she isn't seeking approval. When she walks away, it's on her own terms, leaving Emma Frost to say what no one else will admit. Hope is no longer a child, and whatever future is coming will be shaped by her choices. Whether that future ends in salvation or destruction, the momentum has already been set. Alone at the water's edge, Hope Summers strips away the noise, the blood, and the labels, letting the ocean wash it all off her hands. She stares into the ripples she's made, thinking about what everyone keeps saying makes her special, and for once it's quiet enough to breathe. Utopia looms behind her, a man-made refuge built on fear and expectation, while the world stretches out in front of her, vast and uncaring. As the camera pulls back from the island to the open sea and then to the planet itself, the message lands clean and heavy. Hope is small in the grand scheme of things, but whatever she becomes won't be decided by prophecy or panic. It'll be decided by her. The view pulls back past Earth, past the fragile blue dot everyone keeps fighting over, and straight into the cosmic fire that's been circling it since the beginning. The Phoenix doesn't rush or roar here. It simply moves, vast and patient, threading through galaxies like it owns tomorrow already. This isn't about destruction or rebirth yet. It's about inevitability. Whatever Hope is running from, whatever everyone fears she might become, it's already written into the fabric of the universe, waiting its turn. The fire doesn't choose sides, it just comes when it's time. And that wraps up this week's comic stories, Avengers vs. X-Men Prologue. Welcome to Comic Lore, home of Marvel's and DC's wildest stories, where we break down how heroes and villains rise, fall, and sometimes come back stronger than ever. Hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell to stay updated on your comic lore. Don't forget to let us know in the comments if you want to see more comic stories from your favorite characters. Until next time, comic lovers, we'll see you in the next one.